Hi, it's Roger here from what's on DisneyPlus.com. It's time for the weekly Q&A. So this week is a little bit different. I have pre-recorded this one in advance, but I've been able to get our YouTube channel members and patrons to send in some questions. So we've got quite a lot of stuff to jump into. But a big thank you to everyone who is a member. It really does make a massive difference. We're less reliant than on advertising. You guys rock. But we've got lots and lots of great questions, so let's just start jumping into it. So let's start off with Babak, who says, I think Assembled should stick around because it does provide something new and gives interviews with cast and crews. Legends wasn't really needed anymore. So this is in reference to what I put up earlier this week about the idea that Marvel's Legends looks like it's come to an end because there hasn't been any release this year. We didn't get any for Echo, none for Agatha, none for X-Men, and none for Deadpool and Wolverine. Now, I was a little bit like, I figured this was the case because we haven't had any, but really with the release of Agatha, that was kind of like they've kind of dropped this. We haven't had one all year. We've had 4 different shows. X-Men and Deadpool and Wolverine was like, they could have got around the fact that they weren't there. I've seen some people going, well, maybe with, Captain America, that it makes more sense to do it. Maybe with Agatha and Echo, it didn't make a lot of sense. Personally, I think it's just a case that this show's done, it's just extra money that's not necessarily really needed. It's just extra fluff piece. But Assembled, I think, makes a lot of sense. It's an extra hour of Marvel content that can be filmed at the same time they're filming it. Features interviews and stuff. It's, what you might end up putting on like a DVD. It's just something that makes sense with Assembled. Dana asked, how would you handle adding these curated playlists to Disney? So this is in reference to the idea of how would they create Hulu content, Hulu playlists on Disney Plus, because it's a very tricky situation with the curated playlist. So they've added the Disney Junior version and they've added the ABC Live ones. There are going to be 4 new ones coming later this year. It's going to be like a seasonal one, like a Heroes one. But at the minute, it looks like it's probably going to have to just stay primarily just for Disney Plus in the US. So that means probably not pulling in the Hulu stuff. I imagine they can't really start incorporating that fully until the Hulu merger is fully done. If they do that, I think they will do. Or that they are only accessible if you have the Hulu. That might be the other way. They can kind of, if you don't have a Hulu subscription, it doesn't show to you. That might be one way of doing it. There's that. Miles asked, with 5 months to go until the release of Pixar's first original series, Win or Lose on Disney Plus, do you think that Disney should start increasing the promotion for the series? So I see this comes up a lot with regards to Disney Plus shows and so on, about there being a lack of publicity, sometimes months in advance and stuff. And the simple truth is, I don't think they need to, especially with a series. You can start putting out a little teaser trailer and trailers and stuff a little bit in advance to kind of get some fans worked up. But there is not a lot of point of starting your mass media, where you're trying to get to the biggest audience you possibly can, until I would say maybe the week that the show comes out. Because in all honesty, most people have got short attention spans. If you say that this show's coming out in 3 months' time, what's the point of, you might as well put that money and advertising into right now or what's coming up now. And I know, in the film industry and stuff, we tend to see things a little bit far out. But I honestly don't see now with short term, they're better off advertising the week it comes out and the week it is out. And I think that's the other thing, is carrying on the advertising after the first episode comes out, especially with like Agatha or anything like that. Keep that momentum going when it's out, when it's still building, rather than this idea of you doing it months in advance. And I know people just want more and more. And I don't know. I'm the exact opposite, especially with Disney Plus series. There is just no benefit to putting out. If you put out, they've already moved the date already. But more importantly, we've got a trailer for it. That's enough. That is enough to probably do us now until the month that it comes out or the week before it comes out. Just let it go now. There's no point in spending money. We're also spending time. You're better off promoting something that's out now or something that's just about to come out to get excitement over it, rather than getting people caught up in the idea of things coming too far away. Elias says, along with Fox and Warner Brothers Discovery, they recently filed a brief with the appeals court in regards to Venu Sports. Did that surprise you? Regardless, what do you expect from Disney? So this is a new streaming service where they're going to be offering a number of different live streams of their sports from all 3 networks. They're also going to have ESPN Plus in there. Fubo TV was able to stop them and get an injunction. They've put in an appeal. I'm not surprised they did an appeal, because it would make sense to, before you throw in the towel or do anything different, it would make sense for you to try and do an appeal to see if you could get it done. Because otherwise it's not going to trial for another year, and it might be a little bit later than that. I would be, if they didn't get the appeal through, I wouldn't be surprised if one of the parties drops out and the entire platform just falls to pieces and they don't bother with it. I don't think they're going to want to go through the discovery process and get all of that out in the open about carriage disputes and all the rest of it. And I think also with the ESPN full flagship version launching in August of 2025, do they really want to be trying to launch another streaming service about sports just a few weeks or a few months later? I don't know. I think it makes sense for them to try and appeal it. And if they can't get that through, that's when you make your decision. I wouldn't make a decision publicly until that appeal. That'd be how I would deal with it. But sure, let me know. Barbak says, when do you think Deadpool and Wolverine will hit Disney Plus? So we just had the announcement as of the time of recording yesterday that it's coming out on digital on the 1st of October, coming out then on DVD, etc. I think it's the 22nd off the top of my head. I would be surprised if it dropped, or after. I wouldn't be surprised if it dropped after that point there. So they are definitely now trying to push the digital release and trying to push that physical, and then it goes to Disney Plus. We saw that with Inside Out too. And I think anytime after that DVD release is probably likely. It could be the end of October. It could even slide into November. Personally, I would probably put it into November, get it close to Thanksgiving, and that'd be the big title. Especially, with November, they've got, there's no Agatha. That's all over with after Thanksgiving. Get that in maybe after Agatha's dropped. That would be my personal thought, but they might go that a little bit week earlier. But let me know what you guys think. Moving on from there, Keenan says, could we see Disney music destinations on Apple Music or Spotify since it launched on Amazon Music? So this is a new thing. I'm not really totally surprised what the point of it is. I mean, I used to use Spotify. I now just use YouTube Music because I was like, why am I paying for Spotify when I can have YouTube Music because I've got YouTube Premium? So that saved me $10 a month. To be honest, if you got playlists and that's kind of all you need, really, having it all in one little place is nice, but it just makes finding stuff a little bit easier. I would have thought something like this would make a little bit more sense, but until they start making these destinations for anything, I don't know. I think it's more about Amazon Trust trying to make it easier for audiences and stuff to move on. Kelly says, Disney announced earlier that it's enforcing its new password sharing crackdown earlier today, so this was on Wednesday. What are your thoughts on it? Could this be a reason why Disney is open to more streaming bundles? So I did do a video and I posted that up technically about 10 minutes ago, but it went up earlier this week. So this one is, there's kind of like two chains of thought on this one. And I think first off, if you look at it from Disney's point of view, you've got millions of people using Disney Plus that they're not paying for. They're having to pay for all the bits and pieces. It worked a lot for Netflix. They added in tens of millions of subscribers. It's shown that it's worked. Why would they want to give away their content for free? It makes sense for doing so. I do argue that I think they should have done this years ago, and I think they left it too late for dealing with this password crackdown. I think they should have been much stricter from the beginning to stop people getting used to it, because I think that's the hardest problem. It's like what they've been having, the same problem with Fast Pass at the theme parks. They include it in the ticket price or include it for a long time. And then when they change it to make more money, it then gets a massive backlash. And other platforms and stuff are doing the same thing. I see it from Disney's point of view. I also see it from the point of view of family members and stuff of, you've been sharing it. This whole idea that, well, if I can watch it on 4 screens, it shouldn't matter which 4 screens it's on. It's, everyone's going to have different opinions on it. Obviously, a lot of people are going to be upset about it. People are going to be having a lot of bad reactions to it. But in the long run, Disney will get more subscribers, and that's all that matters. They'll get more people to sign up to the ad-supported tier, which is what they want. This feels like it is a bit of they've got to just deal with this negativity and the backlash for a week or so, and then gradually people will get used to it. And then when you've got Amazon and Max and Comcast, etc., all doing the same thing, this will just become the standard. The idea that you were able to share your account with multiple households never made a lot of sense, and why they were so, why they let that happen. I can see why people have got used to it, But I also think as well the idea of like there's some elements of entitlement to the idea that you can do this, and a lot of people can like where does your family end and when does your immediate family end? If you're talking about your brothers and your sisters and your mum and dad and your cousins and that, and you've got 10 brothers and they've all got kids, it's like, how far is this supposed to go out? Your internet, you only have access to the internet in your house. Your water, your other utilities, your landline, etc. They are all specifically to that house. Your cable, you couldn't do that with. So I see it from all over the place. I definitely see, like I had a situation with my parents and with my in-laws. They were using my account. My in-laws I did ask him a few times and they were like, oh, they didn't really even use it. So I ended up like taking them off because it was like, they're not even using it. And then what happened with Netflix with them, what we did was we knew that this was coming in, and they were using my sister-in-law's account. So for Christmas, what we did is we brought them like an annual subscription with the ads here, and that was their Christmas present. And so they had a whole year, and we'll probably do it again, actually, because I think it's actually quite a useful thing for them. We just buy them like a whole year subscription on the ad tier, and they can enjoy it. And it's better than socks and whatever rubbish we get for Christmas. They can enjoy that. So that's what we did for them last year for Netflix, and that seems to have worked really well. With Disney Plus, my parents, they ended up having it, getting it for free with their bank, so they moved over to that. So this is something that even in my family we've been dealing with this. So I totally understand where people are coming from, but I think a lot of it as well is understanding and talking to it rather than just assuming it. And I know there's going to be a lot of people angry and a lot of people upset, but ultimately, probably the best way of looking at it is you've had access to this for years without having to pay. That was the bonus, and now that's over with, rather than looking at it because I'm entitled to still getting it. I think it's a mindset. I know not everyone's going to agree with it. They think, but ultimately, Disney made the call. They're going to be making it. But like I said, I can see it from both sides, but I definitely get why it's happened. And they should just never have let it go on as long as they did, because it just caused problems. Dana says, how would you break down Hulu with all the leased products? So this is a kind of a thing I think definitely with Hulu that they need to do. If you go into the Hulu Hub, you've got all the different sections and stuff. I do think as we move forward, there's going to be less and less licensed content anyway. I think once Comcast pull all their stuff, we've recently had all the WWE stuff come away. I wouldn't be at all surprised at some point if Fox's content comes off of there. It's going to become probably easier for them to do. And I think that's where having a Hulu/Star Hub makes sense, to have like a catch-all that you can chuck stuff in that maybe doesn't fit under your major brands. I still would like to see like a 20th Century Hub to kind of allow that to become a bigger brand. But that's just my own thoughts on that one. Elliot says, I thought Steve Martin and Martin Short retired last year. Are they continuing to act even though they are retired? I think the term, I think they've just joked about it. I think they're constantly joking about the idea of retiring. They look like they are having way too much fun doing the Only Murders in the Building and all the stuff that goes. And that's probably enough just to keep them going. They've been, they did like, they were doing Jimmy Kimmel and all this kind of stuff. I think they are just having an absolute blast doing this. And it definitely seems to be coming through on the screen that they just seem to be having so much fun and enjoying doing it. And I think, why not? If they're still fit enough to do it and still mentally capable of doing it, let them enjoy it. Let's enjoy it while they can. Babak says, do you think Venu could hurt the new ESPN streaming service? So obviously this is going to be flagship. This will be launching within Disney Plus next year. It's going to have all the ESPN content in it. I don't think it's so much a case of it's hurting it, because either way, you're paying for ESPN. So either way, Disney get you. It's just how it's going to work. So I don't think it hurts it. I think it would have made more sense to have launched it this year when they plan to. I think it's going to be harder to sell Venu once that's fully launched. I think that's going to be a difficult thing for them to do. Babak asks, do you think Dream Productions was pulled forward because they want to keep the hype from Inside Out going forward rather than moving people's attention to Win or Lose? I 100% agree that there might be that element of getting Win or Lose out in February now is more about spacing out away from Skeleton Crew, which was probably going to end at the beginning of February or at the end of January. Daredevil doesn't start till March, so therefore Win or Lose is maybe the big title that they've got for February. and that's its full series. Did they need it for Christmas? And I think the Inside Out shorts, Dream Productions, is a nice little bonus just for Christmas. I think that would do very well. Babatronic says, do you think that the RSNS is going to be moving to streaming? So this is the regional sports networks. Funny, really, a lot of these were sold off by Disney when they bought Fox. I think we're in a weird stage with streaming with sports, and especially in the US, where I think we're going to get to a point where it's a little bit like with entertainment and streaming in the whole. They're all going to have to start doing some deals, I think, with other competitors to start reducing the amount of offers available. I think sport is a little bit too all over the place. And I think there is this kind of thing. It used to keep everything going up. I don't think these regional sports networks are probably going to be long for the world. I think they're eventually going to go away, as the big companies like Amazon and Netflix and Disney and stuff are going to be like, yeah, we don't want just the rights to that sports team just for that local area. It's just not profitable enough. We want the whole rights for that. And I think what they're doing, like with the NBA and stuff, where they're splitting out the rights and stuff, I think that's probably what we're going to see a little bit more. I think it makes sense as well, spreading it out onto different platforms in some way, whereas chucking it all in on one can be a little bit more expensive, depending on what sports you're into. Keenan says, do you think that launching the Disney Plus Junior and ABC News curated playlist was a beta version of the curated playlist? So I think there's two ways of looking at this. I don't think the system was fully ready to run yet. I think they did rush it. I think they had to get the live stream of ABC News up for the presidential race, because they wanted that debate because it was so popular, but also just the next few weeks with that. There's a lot of attention, obviously, on news right now, and they just want to get that in. And also, it's just getting people used to the concept that you've got more of this kind of news things in Disney Plus, and I think that's not necessarily a bad thing. Miles asks, could Disney Plus expand and improve its continuous playlist by making it available globally? I definitely don't understand the idea of why these playlists haven't launched globally. I don't see why that Disney Junior one can't be available everywhere. Same thing with the other ones. I would have thought that they would have made sense that they could make them globally. I mean, maybe they don't put in things that can't be watched in other countries. That could be a problem. They could localize it a little bit. The news one is a little bit tricky. Though, while it's on YouTube, and I do watch ABC News, and I do like the kind of content that they put out, and I like watching news live anyway, there are probably some ramifications from the idea of, if they put news content in there, they have to comply with different rules. Like here in the UK, they would have to be deemed to be fair and balanced, and it would bring them under a little bit more scrutiny if they added news in. But I think it would make sense for them to do that anyway. But it also wouldn't help with ABC News to be, I don't know, like, it feels a little bit all over the place of like either go all in or all out. It seems a bit weird at the minute. Elliot says, do you think Modern Family will be on Hulu on Disney Plus when the full merger goes through? And also, will the Act be on Hulu on Disney Plus, or will it stay on it? So again, some of these shows and things are due to licensing. Some of them might just end up coming to an end, and that might be why they end up getting pulled off. Something like Modern Family, I think there is some deal that's got made between them when they shared it, because it's also on Peacock. I suspect there is something in there, and once that deal expires, then they'll be able to sort out what they're doing in the US. But I think Modern Family and the Ad are all going to be case-by-case basis. I think there's just a general thing with Comcast stuff on Hulu. They don't want it on Disney Plus. And also, it kind of makes sense why they wouldn't. Babak says, will Disney add a music's destinations on Disney Plus as well? If so, would they have to pay royalties out to artists? Yeah, I mean, if they put music onto Disney Plus, they still have to pay. I wish they did. It was one of the great things about Disney Life that you could do that. But I don't know. It's kind of a weird one. I would love them to add like albums and stuff onto Disney Plus, because I listen to soundtracks and stuff all the time. And I think you got music videos and lyric videos and stuff. I think it would just be a nice way of increasing engagement. But I can also understand why they may be trying to keep it a little bit separate. But I know I'd use it. Keenan says, why are live streams more expensive to make than curated playlists? Well, obviously, if it's live, there's a difference, I think, between... I think there's that kind of weird thing as well of, like, A curated playlist is essentially just putting things, shows in order, and it's just basically automated. If they go down having a live channel, I think the problem is like live channels is if they were putting like a live stream with the Disney Channel, you've got ads, and maybe they want more ads in the right places. Also, there might be problems with some of the cable companies that might not like that, so it makes it much more difficult. Also, just live streams, I think it's a bit of a thing of the idea of having a live stream of the Disney Channel and ABC and stuff. There's probably a lot more legal issues in that. Whereas a curated playlist is something they can just slap in like 10, 15 things and let it go. Miles says, since the release of Win or Lose, which was recently pushed back to February 19th, do you think the original December 6th date has clashed with Skeleton Crew? I think it is just about spreading out that original content. Like Win or Lose will just drop in nicely then between Skeleton Crew and Daredevil. So that's what that is. Babak asks, what are your thoughts on AEW Max Report? So as of the time of recording, it looks like that's where it's going. It's kind of what I was expecting. I think it's a good idea. I think it should be good for AEW. I think that we need a strong opposition to WWE. And also, just not doing pay-per-views. I just think the whole idea of doing pay-per-views anymore just doesn't work for wrestling. It's too expensive. I mean, when I think of what I used to spend on pay-per-views every month. Elliot says, have you been enjoying all the documentaries about singers and bands so far? If you could choose which band or singer would you want a documentary on going forward? I think it's fantastic stuff. I do like having the concerts, and I like having the documentaries. I like having them in par. The thing is, sometimes it can be a little bit like hit and miss of who they are. I mean, I thought the Ed Sheeran documentary was fantastic. I really enjoyed that one. I'd love to have his concert on there. But like Bruce Springsteen, I don't care. To be honest, I'd have a hard job telling you one or two of his songs. I'm not a fan of his music. It's just meh. But the Elton John documentary, totally want to see that one. In terms of who do I want to see getting one, very difficult to kind of like just randomly pick on one. I mean, obviously, but like with some country stuff, I wouldn't mind maybe from like the US of like Luke Combs or someone like that, or Brad Paisley, that kind of going in on that. I don't know if that would be very good worldwide. Maybe someone like Coldplay or Muse, something like that. They would be quite cool as well. Blur, Oasis, that kind of thing. That would be where I'd go. But let me know. What do you think? Again, a huge thank you to everyone for sending in your questions in advance. It's really helped. And I'll be back next Sunday with another live Q&A. During the week, there will be some videos going up as well. But on that note, guys, thank you so much, and I shall see you guys soon. Later.